All right, guys, let's head back here, make sure we got everything packed up. We are doing a little ice fishing today. We got everything on charge. Typical ice season, we got stuff everywhere, but it wouldn't be a trip ice fishing if you weren't overpacked, right? So I think we got everything pretty much packed up here. Another tech's on charge. We're gonna pack everything up. We're gonna head out on a little panfish mission. We have a gorgeous day today, so we gotta take advantage of it while we can. We're gonna try and pack light, try not to pack too much stuff. We probably are going to pack too much stuff. We're gonna try not to, and hike back into a lake that's got some really good panfish, bluegills, and hopefully some bass in there too. It's got a little bit of everything from past trips there. So we're gonna head out there, drag the sleds back there, and give you guys a little rundown on just finding panfish on the ice. So let's get out there.
Nick and I just made it out to the lake. I've personally never fished this lake. There's some tracks out here, some various animals, I think. I don't think anybody's been out here. We thought maybe there's a track out there, but it kind of looks like wolf or coyote. Been sort of drifted, so we're not real sure. We'll go investigate further, but we gotta head down that way, don't we? Just out here in front, kind of.
So, alrighty, so first glance at the lake. Again, we're kind of in the backcountry here a little bit. This lake has zero mapping to it, which is part of what I love about doing these kind of backcountry lakes. Is almost like an adventure every single time you come out, till you head out here a few times and you learn more every time you come. But when you're coming to a lake like this, looking for panfish, just like any lake in the wintertime, the first thing that comes to mind, for me at least, is basin panfish. That's where a lot of the population of fish in the lake will head, is out in the basin. And again, there's zero mapping on this lake, so it might be kind of like, where the heck do I start? Well, just looking at the lake, you can kind of get signs geographically. Looking at Google Maps before we came in here, you can kind of tell, obviously, this is a little bit of a bowl here. It gets skinny that way. You can see that the hills are kind of steep around this part. That's a pretty telltale sign that this section here is going to be deep water, and sure enough, this is a great big basin. We got a flat that way, kind of the best of both worlds. Who knows where they're going to be at today? Maybe there, but we're going to drill around, use the electronics to kind of poke around, see where they're at, and hopefully bring some big panfish topside. It's a gorgeous day, that's for sure, but I got a feeling we're going to catch a couple, so let's go find them.
I think the quickest way we're gonna probably track down some fish is just drill out a few holes. Nick has got scope, and then once we maybe land on some fish, we'll pull the flashers out. But we're just, for right now, gonna track down the edges in the middle of this basin and see if we can't find some fish that way. A pretty typical procedure for locating panfish in the winter. If this fails, then we might track down the next basin and or go explore the flats a little bit. But for right now, we got our work cut out for us, just covering down on this basin thoroughly. Oh, here we go. Here we go. There we go. There's some targetable critters there. Pike or bass or...
Now we're above.
Yeah.
The group.
Look at him go.
Look at him chasing him.
Going down. He's right on him. He's right on him. Zoom in on that. Oh, it could be a pair. That's our bass. That's our buddy's basses. Let's try and catch some of those. All right. Nice.
That's what you're looking for.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Look at him darting down. He's going down again. Active. That's good. I like it. I like seeing the fish going up and down in the water column. It's usually indicative of some fish that'll probably bite. I don't want to jinx us, but when they're traversing the water column vertically like that, I think that's usually a good sign.
I think they heard us drilling.
They totally did. They're coming over. We need to get some sticks over here, huh?
Yeah.
All right, I'll drill a few more holes. I usually like to drill holes when we land on some fish. I'll usually just essentially drill out kind of a diamond square pattern to begin with. I just feel like you cover down on areas better, quicker. It just kind of gives you more options if you're off one direction or another. It's like usually if you drill in kind of a square or diamond-like pattern, seems like it's a little more forgiving for like landing on that school of fish.
This might be nice. Finally got on them. Boy, they are just, oh gosh, golly, yeah, it's a nice one. Look at that big goldie. How pretty is that? Gosh, they're real spooky to get on. I think it's that light snow, a little bit early in the year. They're not quite settled in yet, but we tricked one there. Look at that, tipped with some Euros on there. Missed him one time, and then second time he really jumped on it. It's like once you get on top of them finally, that's the hard part, but once you do, when you get a little bait like that, just something real nice, compact, get that above them. It's a pretty dang nice one right there. Sweet, look how pretty she is too, real gold. That's a cool fish. So what we're kind of seeing here is kind of cool. Really shows how nice it is to kind of have a 1-2 punch system like we got going here with the forward facing and then the flashers. These fish are real fleety, and I think it's a little bit of a mix of kind of being earlier in the year. There's not much snow on the ground, so a lot of our movement's pretty loud. And we're noticing that there's a ton of predatory fish chasing these things. We can see it on the forward facing. We'll get on top of a group, they'll get kind of comfortable, and then a pike just comes flying in out of nowhere, and then they're gone. So they're not the easiest to catch. Once we get on top of them, you know, we can pick 1 or 2 off, but getting on top of them has been the hard part today. But again, it's been nice to kind of use this where we can, okay, 60 feet that way, there's a little group of them. I'm looking with the forward facing, then Kyle's hopping on the flasher. He can get on top of them, be a little bit more quieter. That's definitely helping put some on top of the ice. Kind of a, you know, that could be a typical thing with basin panfish. Sometimes they'll just hole up tight and you can sit there and smoke them all day. But then there's times like this where they're just fleety. Sometimes they can be a little smart if they've been pressured, if it's later in the year, or if it's early in the year like now, where they're just not totally comfortable yet, and there's several factors that come into play. But this is still a good example of just panfish 101 on the ice, you know. Really one of 2 things. They're either going to be in the basins or they're going to be up in the weeds. That's really kind of the name of the game. I tend to start with the basins just because so many lakes, that's just what they do. There's always seems to be a population that heads for the basin no matter where you're at. And that's really a daytime thing too. Granted, there's times where they'll bite in the basins at night for sure, but it seems to really be a daytime thing. I think once that sun gets up, they kind of all get grouped together and they'll go roam these basins. But we're starting to get into the afternoon here now, and what we're gonna do is, again, typical wintertime pan fishing is look for that evening, a little bit into night bite. That is something that can be super fun when you figure it out. Sometimes it can be a little hard to run into, but usually when you do, that's when you're gonna get your biggest fish in the system, hands down. I don't know what it is to that evening bite. You know, it's like that across the board, whether you're walleye fishing, bass fishing, those early mornings and evenings are always when you're gonna catch your giant ones. So the sun's starting to come down on us here. We're getting into the afternoon. Hopefully we can pluck off 1 or 2 more, but that was just a good little rundown. Wanted to show you guys kind of how to attack catching panfish in the wintertime. Again, you know, whether it's weeds or in the basin, those are the two places where I like to start off looking for them. Using your electronics, kind of a mix match of some forward facing, some flasher units, finding those fish, getting on top of them, dropping a nice little tungsten jig with some meat in their faces, and catching them. It's a really simple system. It can be a lot of fun, especially when you find some fish that want to hang tight. You can get a group of people out, get on top of them, and catch a bunch of fish. It's a blast. So if you guys have any other questions or things that you'd like to know about finding panfish through the ice, feel free to leave a comment down below as always. And yeah, hope that helps you guys put some panfish topside this winter.